Our favorite animated films always involve some secret goodies for the parents, but some kids' films pushed the limits a little too far. Want to find out the shocking movies that push the boundaries way over what a children's film should be? Because these films went there and beyond.
I'm really scared!
Are you new to Screen Rant? Welcome to the club.
Marvelous things will happen.
Hit the subscribe button to join the gang and be the first notified of new content.
She's practically naked.
Coraline. In 2009, Tom Selleck was nominated for an Oscar for this deliciously creative animated film. Coraline is about an 11-year-old girl voiced by Dakota Fanning, whose world gets crushed by the other mother. A mother who lives in the other world that Coraline finds, which is incessantly dark compared to the opening of the film, which shows a picture-perfect life. The character known as Other Mother shows herself to Coraline.
You may come out when you've learned to be a loving daughter.
She is an evil, malicious, and gross woman who steals the eyes and souls of little children.
No way!
Other Mother is a creepy rag doll that definitely pushes the boundary for little ones. Not only is the film filled with dark nuances, shadows, and creepy ideas, it also makes dolls terrifying. Of course, other films like Child's Play have already done this, but they are labeled as horror and not as a children's film. In reviews from parents who showed the movie to their kids, they regretted not reading reviews prior, as the film was way too scary. Some even said that it was way creepier than Narnia and Harry Potter. I didn't know those movies were creepy. That's a bold statement, apparently. This film is, however, a brilliant piece of art that should be enjoyed by adults. Just put the rag dolls outside first.
Wow, so many bad guys in the car. What fun!
Minions. The Minions are these cute, innocent little buggers that kids love, but there is a lot in the Minions movie that pushed the boundaries too far.
Yeah, go Bob!
The movie has a PG rating for action and rude humor. However, there is a vast amount of violence and sexuality throughout, not to mention all the gender stereotyping. Like, where are all the female minions? The only one around is the villain, even though the minions are supposed to be genderless, which is not true. All the minions have male names and are constantly referred to as boys.
Boys, could you come here, please?
At the beginning of the film, Bob emerges from the sea with starfish on his chest, which begins the long line of sexual breast jokes about the non-existent female characters. Then the main villain is introduced by a man. She wears stilettos and next to no clothes, saying,
Girls gotta make a living.
This type of stuff continues. A minion gets into a jacuzzi with a thong on, some groin and hip rubbing, and smacking each other's butts. As for violence, there's a minion crushed by a chandelier and one chased with a chainsaw.
Whoa, is this how you steer your house?
Up. Up is a Disney Pixar classic that garnered praise from around the world and even prompted fraudulent production companies to copy the story. So, if this film is so popular among families, why is it on this list? Despite the beautiful animation and the lovable characters, the storyline and subject matter is heavy. The first thing that happens in this colorful movie is a death. 78-year-old Carl Fredricksen loses his wife, and it may be the saddest moment you ever watch in an animated film. It'll have all kinds of adults crying, so you can bet how the kids feel. How do you ask? Terrified of losing anyone important in their life. Now, it's not that kids shouldn't be exposed to death, because they will need to understand it, but we're just not sure if the proper place is in a supposedly pleasant Pixar film. It could come as a shock to the system and elicit nightmares or even constant fear of losing someone. Luckily, the film is so wonderfully made, it could possibly distract from the heartbreaking and utterly depressing initial incident. Do you think the boundaries are pushed too far for kids? Let us know in the comments below.
What is wrong with you? You're out of control!
Where the Wild Things Are. When it comes to magnificent films, Where the Wild Things Are is up at the top. Its originality and style by the great Spike Jonze will captivate any audience watching. However, for children, it may be pushing the boundaries a little bit too far. This half-live-action film deals with themes such as isolation and judgment. The film does teach valuable lessons, but may be too mature for younger audiences, despite it only being rated PG. The film was adapted from Maurice Sendak's picture book. Max Records, the young spoiled protagonist, dresses up as a monster and finds 6 other bizarre creatures. The most disturbing of scenes is when Carol gets really angry and rips Douglas's arm off.
That was my favorite arm.
In another, Carol chases after Max Records, the spoiled child protagonist trying to eat him. It's not only the violence and monsters that children could find unpleasant, but also the dark imagery in adult context. Jonze purposefully made the film for adults, though it was marketed towards children. Jonze made a cautionary tale to adults, warning grown-ups that self-indulgence threatens kids' well-being. In The Guardian, they wrote self-indulgence, self-destructiveness, self-delusion, jealousy, and vanity loom far more starkly when attributed to zany monsters than they would if acted out by flesh and blood humans. Jonze did it right, but for adults, just not kids.
Is he hurt?
No, he's all right.
Bambi. The classic Disney film that everyone knows is sad AF. Like, come on, who makes a cute animation film for children about an adorable little baby deer named Bambi and then kills his mother? What? That must have come as a slap to the face shock when parents were sitting in theaters with their kids back in 1942. This movie has murder, a witness to murder, and an innocent little baby who can't do anything about it.
Quick, the thicket!
We almost want to take a poll on whether Up or Bambi wins for most depressing animated film. To make matters worse, they made Bambi so over-the-top cute and loving that when he loses his mama, it just makes the tears stream. The scene we're talking about is when Bambi watches as his mother gets gunned down by a hunter, which could be pretty traumatizing as a child. Technically, Bambi watches as his mother gets blatantly murdered on screen. Did you know that there are theories that the hunter that killed Bambi's mother is actually Gaston from Beauty and the Beast? Bet you didn't know that. In one parent's review of the film, they write, "Children can probably watch this movie when they've grown up to be adults. Even as an adult, we're not sure we want to endure that kind of pain. It's probably easier to watch Leo get killed in The Departed than watch that poor little deer see his mother die."
I am killing you.
Why do you make us suffer, Disney?
The nature of the crime is very clear. I'll take care of this.
Grave of the Fireflies. This is a celebrated Japanese animated film that made worldwide success due to its deeply touching story and fleshed-out characters. However, the subject matter is that of war, violence, and children losing their homes due to a bomb. We're certain it's supposed to be teaching a lesson, but it may be taking things a little too far. The film follows two siblings who lose their home after a war makes them flee where they live. The director, Isao Takahata, adapted the original novel in this film, Grave of Fireflies. A boy and his younger sister struggled to survive during World War II. On IMDb, the film is a rate number 53 in the top films of 2018, a whole 30 years after it was made, which speaks to the brilliance of this movie. Unfortunately, it may have too many adult subjects and dark, scary moments for today's kids.
Tell it to the cops!
Not to mention how sad the entire thing is. Also, once it's done, the hardest part will be explaining to children that these types of things actually happen, and worse, during wars. Maybe this one is better to save when kids can understand the unfairness of the world a little better. Or do we ever understand that?
It's too early.
James and the Giant Peach. Tom Selleck does it again with his creepy aesthetic and weird taste in children's stories.
I'm a vegetarian.
James and the Giant Peach was adapted from the original story by brilliant children's book writer Roald Dahl. Dahl is known for his dark stories, and this one is no different. This film has surpassed the line in the sand that keeps children's movies in their place. In the book, James escapes violent, abusive relatives after his parents die a horrific death. So, violence, odd, nasty creatures, and a crazy storyline. One parent's review was pretty angry when she discovered that this movie took it too far. In her review titled "I Left the Room," she said, "This movie is crazy. My mother bought it for my kids, and the oldest left the room, and my youngest had nightmares that night. The violent tendencies of the two aunts are disturbing."
Such rude behavior.
Overall, it's a deeply frightening film that can shock even adults with its skeleton-like creatures. Knowing the director's tone in previous films, it makes perfect sense, but if you aren't into weird animation films prior to seeing this, how would you know? If you got little ones, steer clear of James and the Giant Peach until they're a little bit older. But still, it's a work of art. I recommend it.
Oh, this is just a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Antz. Okay, yeah, we love Antz, and not only because of the incredible cast including Woody Allen, Dan Aykroyd, and Anne Bancroft, but because it's so friggin' hilarious. However, it is one of those films that has parents grabbing their children's ears the entire way through. There's even a YouTube compilation of all the swear words in the film, so yeah, Antz may have taken the profanity a little too far for little impressionable ears. Also, can we talk about the war scene? Who has a war scene in a kids movie? The one where a guy is holding his decapitated friend's head who's still talking, and the entire ant colony practically drowns because one dude decides to dig more. WTF? We can't help but laugh at how horrific Dreamworks made that film, an animated film with a full-on bug war scene. We commend them for their weird originality, but also let's not label this a kids film, unless you feel like freaking them out with the Third World War that happened in a totalitarian ant colony and starring J-Lo.
You made wounds ooze and flesh crawl.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Nightmare Before Christmas. And once again, Tom Selleck for the Creepy Children's Film Award, written and produced by the infamous Tim Burton. This film is chock full of nightmarish moments. Even the main characters are skeletons. We're gonna take you through the most notable boundary-pushing moments, but believe us, there's a whole bunch more. One of the most memorable is when Dr. Finkelstein creates a mommy doll for Sally out of his own brain. As for the violence, the whole film is pretty much one big parade of skulls, skeletons, shrunken heads, ghost dog, a kidnapped Santa Claus, and the nasty bag demon that is Oogie Boogie. Subjecting children to Selick and Burton's world means a full film of weird grotesqueness where normal is not a thing. Now, it isn't bad allowing your children to be creative and explore new realms. It's just the relentlessness of it all may become more and more terrifying throughout. The color palette for the entire film is dark. Even the lighter moments are still dark. In a New York 4 review, they finish off their review saying, "This is the kind of movie that can really stir a kid's creativity," right after they hide under the bed shivering with fear. And the Oscar for horrifically entertainingly weird children's film goes to Burton and Selick. Quick quiz. Did Nightmare Before Christmas actually win any Oscars? Sound off in the comments.
How dare you disagree with us?
Well, which animated film do you think pushed the boundaries the furthest? Are there any other children's films that you feel took it too far? Let us know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button for more great videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.